Let's start with the standard deviation. Here all I'll do to get the correct answers is I'll use my functions. I'll say equal sign, ST, DEV, and then I have to put a P on it to tell it it's for a population. Then I'll press a left parenthesis, and then I'll put in my data range. But in this case, it's important to realize the data range does not include B1 because that's got a name in it. Actually, I could put B1 because it's going to ignore a word, but I'm not going to. I'll just say B2 colon B17, and then I'll close, whoops, B17, and then I'll close my parenthesis and hit enter. It turns out the standard deviation based on a population is smaller than the standard deviation would have been if this would have just been a sample. In this case, the standard deviation based on a population is 2.037 instead of 2.104. So the variance, you know what, I should change this label too. This time it says sample variance, which is what it gave me, but I'm going to change it to population variance. So I'll highlight the word population by clicking here, pushing down my mouse button, moving my cursor over so that it's all darkened. Then I let go of my mouse button, and now I'll put POP, so I know it's a population variance, and I'll hit enter. That's just changing the label, not the numbers. Now I'll change the numbers. Normally I click here to change the numbers, but I'm going to put it here so we can compare it. All I do is I put the equal sign, VARP, the P at the end of it so that it knows it's for population, left parenthesis, and now I could type in, or I could just go highlight. Let me just go highlight, and it types it in for me, and then I'll press my closing parenthesis and hit enter. And it turns out the population variance is 4.15, which is smaller than the 4.42, which it would have been if we would have based it only on a sample. Now, the only other one that's incorrect, left that's incorrect, is this number here. Now, normally, you won't really be using the standard error when you have the entire population. In this course, for most of what we do, we won't. But you might need to do it, and there are some legitimate times where you might want to do it. So let me show you how to do it. This time, we're going to not do it by formula. We're going to do it by using the existing answers down here and calculate it ourselves. Now, it turns out the standard error is the standard deviation divided by the square root of the sample size. In this case, the sample size is 16. That's our count. So what I'll put here is I'll click here, I'll put an equal sign, and I'll click on my standard deviation. Instead of typing it in, I just click in it. Now I'll press my divide button right there. And now I need the square root of my count. And the square root is SQRT, left parenthesis. Now I have to click on the number I want, this number. Then I'll close my parenthesis. And now when I hit enter, I'll end up getting 0.509. So again, the standard error will be a little bit less because it's based on all the information we have rather than on only a sample. So that is how you compute descriptive statistics using your data analysis tool and functions for the answers that we need to change because we're using an entire population rather than just a sample.